Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Each year, Muslims of all ages around the world eagerly await the announcement to commence 30 nights and 30 days of self-growth, spiritual purification, contemplation, and knowledge. Some of us are blessed to have learnt a tremendous amount about Islam and Ramadan in childhood, but for the rest of us, acquiring knowledge is a lifelong journey recently started. Minhaj Sisters UK organised this online series, The Spiritual Path to Purity, so we can learn together how to best take advantage of the blessings of Ramadan this year. Of course, the first questions we need to answer are, which types of worship should I engage in? What should my targets be? How should I approach the holy month of Ramadan? Should I set up a prayer room for everyone, or should we all pray on our own in our separate rooms? Should I cut myself off completely, avoiding family and friends? Or should I meet up with people and take Ramadan courses? How should I stay motivated throughout the month? How can I balance exam season or my job with Ramadan? How many times should I finish the Holy Quran? Should I prioritize quality or quantity in worship? Here to answer these questions and more on preparing for Ramadan, we have Basima Hassan Qadri. Studying for a Master's in Political Science from McMaster University, with a BA in Political Science from the University of Toronto, Basima Qadri developed a keen interest in political theory, ethics, and the study of religion and politics. As well as juggling both Islamic studies under the guidance of Sayyidi Shaykh al-Islam Dr. Muhammad Tahir al-Qadri and studying for a Master's, Basima has delivered lectures on women of Islam and workshops for female students. As a member of the founding family of Minhaj Quran International, Basima travels extensively around the globe, supporting young Muslim sisters with her strong grounding of Islam. But before inviting her to speak, I'd like to invite Atiya Parveen, a teaching and learning support student, and Rabia Shaheen, a pediatric student, to recite the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصم ومن كان مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر ولتكملوا العدة ولتكبروا الله صدق الله العظيم.
I seek refuge in Allah from the rejected shaitan. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, ever merciful. The month of Ramadan is the month in which the Quran has been sent down as guidance for mankind, containing clear signs which lead to the straight road and distinguishing the truth from falsehood. Therefore, he who witnesses this month must fast it, and he who is ill or on a journey should complete the count by fasting on equal number of other days. Allah Almighty desires ease for you and does not desire hardship for you, so that you may complete the prescribed numbers of fasting days, and that you glorify Him for the guidance which He has blessed you with, and that you may become grateful. Surah Ikhlas. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, ever merciful. O esteemed messenger, proclaim, He is Allah who is the One. Allah is the transcendent of all, the protector and the far superior to all. He has not begotten any, nor is He begotten, nor is there anyone equal to Him. Allah Almighty speaks the truth.
Thank you very much. Now, without further ado, I'm honored to invite Basima Hassan Qadri.
نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون صدق الله مولانا العظيم. Respected sisters and participants, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is with the grace of Allah Almighty and through the wasila of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that we are so fortunate to be able to welcome the blessed month of Ramadan once again. And we are thankful that we have lived another year to experience and acquire the blessings and gifts that Allah Azza wa Jal has placed in this blessed month for us. The gift of the Quran, the gift of mercy and forgiveness, and the gift of attaining taqwa. So I wish you all a very happy and very blessed Ramadan. Now, before I begin my talk, I want to take the time to congratulate and thank Minhaj Sisters UK for organising this 5-part Ramadan series titled The Spiritual Path to Purity. So firstly, congratulations to the President, Sister Ansa Hussain, the General Secretary, Sister Fatima Siddiq, Sister Rabia Iqbal from the North, Sister Fatima Khan, as well as the rest of the team who have worked so hard to put this event together for us. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you immensely and provide you the tawfiq to continue working in this way. I'm grateful to have been given the opportunity to begin this series off with a session on how to maximize this month and make it a productive and beneficial Ramadan. Now, as we are all aware, the blessed month of Ramadan is a time of year for Muslims all around the world to retreat into a 30-day rejuvenation process. And this is a process that entails both a physical and spiritual detox. It is also a month to learn and practice piety, to set goals, and to renew our intentions for the rest of the year to come. As the ayah that I recited in the beginning of my talk states in Surah Al-Baqarah, O believers, fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for the people before you, so that you may become pious. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states that fasting, and by extension this entire spiritual process, has been a tradition for generations of prophets and believers that came before us, who implemented this same rigorous exercise of fasting, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, for the sole purpose of acquiring piety, taqwa, and self-vigilance. So Ramadan is that time of year where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates a special environment for us. Just as the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam stated, إِذَا دَخَلَ شَهْرُ رَمَضَانَ فُتِحَتْ أَبْوَابُ السَّمَاءِ وَغُلِّقَتْ أَبْوَابُ جَهَنَّمَ وَسُلْسِلَةِ الشَّيَاطِينِ. That when the month of Ramadan begins, the gates of the heavens are opened, the gates of the hellfire are closed, and the devils are chained. So Allah Almighty has given us Muslims an exclusive right over the month of Ramadan. The month of Ramadan has been fashioned in such a way that it enables Muslims to practice good deeds and pious actions, but without the distraction of the devil, without evil temptations, and without any external obstacle that is usually present in our lives outside of the month of Ramadan. So we naturally enter this month with sort of a sense of excitement, with a glimmer of hope, and with an eagerness to reform ourselves, with an eagerness to set our deeds straight, to set our priorities straight, and as I said before, to revive two very important aspects of ourselves, our body and our spirit. It is therefore paramount that we enter into this blessed time well prepared, with a clear agenda, with a clear set of goals, and with a strong plan, so that acquiring the gifts of Ramadan, that is, practicing piety, learning the Quran, increasing our ibadah and charity, becomes easy for us. And as a result, we will have maximized our effort to make the most out of this blessed month. So to begin, I want to suggest just a few practices that we can adopt in order to prepare ourselves for this rigorous 30-day reformation process. Now, if we look at the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, we can see just how the Messenger ﷺ would welcome this blessed month, and indeed he would welcome this month with great joy and with such eagerness. And we see this in a question that the Holy Prophet ﷺ used to ask the companions. The Holy Prophet ﷺ would say, ماذا يستقبلكم وماذا تستقبلون ماذا يستقبلكم وماذا تستقبلون. The Holy Prophet ﷺ would ask the companions, do you have any idea what receives you and what you are welcoming? And this is a question that the Holy Prophet ﷺ would ask the companions 3 times. And after seeing just how excited and how eager the Holy Prophet ﷺ was whilst asking the questions, the Sahaba thought perhaps something incredible is about to happen. And so Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu asked, Ya Rasulullah, has a revelation descended? And the Holy Prophet ﷺ replied, no. And so Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu asked again, is an enemy present? Are we about to go to war? Or is a battle about to start? And the Messenger ﷺ replied, no. And so then the companions asked, so what is it that we are about to welcome? And the Holy Prophet ﷺ answered, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ فِي أَوَّلِ لَيْلَةٍ مِّن شَهْرِ رَمَضَانَ لِكُلِّ أَهْلِ الْقِبْلَةِ. The Holy Prophet ﷺ replied that Allah Azza wa Jal forgives all the people of Qibla, as in all the Muslims and all the believers, on the first night of the month of Ramadan. And so the Messenger ﷺ asked this question, and he would ask the companions this question 3 times. And that just shows just how excited and just how the month of Ramadan was the most anticipated event for the Prophet ﷺ and then for the companions as well. And what we can understand from this small yet very important interaction between the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba is that the month of Ramadan should be an exciting month that we prepare for. From the words of the hadith, we learn 2 things. That when the Holy Prophet ﷺ asked the companions, ماذا يستقبلكم? Do you know what receives you? We learn that the month itself, the month of Ramadan, is something that welcomes us. In other words, Allah Azza wa Jal welcomes us into His court of mercy and forgiveness and blessings at the onset of Ramadan. And secondly, when the Holy Prophet ﷺ would ask, وَمَاذَا تَسْتَقْبِلُونَ? And do you know what you are receiving? From this we understand that Ramadan is something to be welcomed. It is like the guest of honor that we should eagerly wait for and anticipate its blessed arrival. So on a practical level, we should think about welcoming Ramadan as if we were welcoming a guest into our home. And this is a really helpful way for us to think about how we should start to prepare for this beautiful month. So when you think about inviting a really special guest into your home, or someone that comes to your home only once a year, someone that holds so much importance to you, that could be a close relative, a close friend, or perhaps your sheikh. The first thing that we do immediately before the arrival of this anticipated guest is that we beautify our homes, we clean our homes, we make our living space tidy. And we know that this special guest will be seated in the living room, so immediately we start dusting, we start hoovering, we sometimes even rearrange the furniture. We know that the guest will be seated at the dining table, so we make an effort to prepare a magnificent feast for them. Or, for example, if this guest will be staying the night, we make sure to prepare the bedroom, we prepare clean sheets for them, fresh towels, we clean the bathroom. And we not only prepare our homes, but we change ourselves as well, depending on who the guest is. We try to wear our best clothes to welcome them so that we look presentable and clean. And so, in other words, for us in our daily lives, with the arrival of a special guest or an anticipated guest, we go to such lengths to prepare our homes and to such lengths to prepare ourselves, so that when this special guest arrives, our homes are ready to welcome them and that we are ready to receive them. This, my sisters, is how we should treat the month of Ramadan. Ramadan as our long anticipated guest, a guest that only greets us once a year and only remains with us for 30 days. So the first practical thing that we should try to do in the early days or even a few days before Ramadan is to prepare our homes. And what this means is creating a suitable and a spiritually uplifting environment around us. So, for example, we can begin by preparing the space that we will use to worship. Any place in our homes that we feel as though we will need to use to recite the Quran, or to use for prayer, or to do dhikr and adhkar, we should ensure that those places are clean, we should ensure that those places are well arranged, they're not cluttered, and that most importantly, that they're decorated. Because when we surround ourselves with a clean environment, or a space that is beautiful, or that looks good, and that smells nice, and that's tidy and fresh, we are naturally inclined to spend more time in that place. So in the month of Ramadan, when we are expected to increase the hours of our worship, when we are expected to increase the recitation of the Quran, when we are expected to increase the amount of nawafil that we pray, we must ensure firstly that our environment is clean enough and beautiful enough such that it motivates us and it makes us want to spend more time in prayer and more time in worship. And preparing our homes is not just important for us, it is equally as important for the younger people in our lives, whether that's your children or if you have younger brothers and sisters. Because living in a predominantly non-Muslim country with non-Muslim traditions and cultures, we have to make an even stronger effort to bring out the beauty of our religion in a way that our children can understand. And the best way to instill value and importance in young children for special events and for special times of the year is to encourage them to participate in preparing for it. And what that means is that we should encourage our younger ones to help us decorate our home at the the time of Ramadan, to encourage them to help us put up lights, to arrange flowers, put up banners or lanterns or whatever it may be, so that it excites them. It lets them know that as a family, we are truly preparing for something magnificent, that we are truly preparing for the arrival of a special guest. So, welcome the month of Ramadan with happiness. Welcome the month of Ramadan with joy, with celebration, by creating a spiritually uplifting home and an environment that will motivate you and encourage you to engage in more and more pious acts and deeds. Now, once our homes are well prepared and decorated, it's important to think about some of the small things that we can do to keep us motivated and uplifted throughout the month of Ramadan. And one way that we can ensure this is by engaging in collective activities. Now, Ramadan is without a doubt a time for self-reflection. It is a time for self-cleansing and self-reformation. And to ensure that we are engaged in this rigorous process of muhasabah, what a lot of us do is we completely disconnect from the world. And we totally detach ourselves from even our own communities. Because for some of us, we believe that Ramadan is better spent alone. It's better spent in seclusion without engaging with our broader Muslim community. But what happens is that when we totally shut down and when we go into complete seclusion, we fall into a danger of losing motivation and losing the willpower to stay on top of our Ramadan goals and our Ramadan schedule. So, to ensure that we don't fall back, it is so important that we create external forms of motivation. Now, it's definitely important to put away some of our devices and the things that distract us. But as Muslims, what we should never lose sight of is the benefits of practicing Islam and the benefits of practicing our faith hand in hand with other Muslims. And this stems from a fundamental aspect of our religion that emphasizes collectivity and togetherness. And this is really beautifully stated in the Muttafaqun alayh hadith of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, where he describes the importance of interdependence and unity. According to Abu Musa al-Ashari radiallahu anhu, the Holy Prophet ﷺ stated, Al-mu'minu lil-mu'mini kal-bunyani, that a believer is related to another believer like a fortified wall. Yashuddu ba'duhu ba'da, its one portion supports and strengthens the other. وَشَبَّكَ بَيْنَ أَصَابِعِهِ, and then the Holy Prophet ﷺ interlaced his fingers together to illustrate this. So the Messenger ﷺ is saying that as believers, as Muslims, together we form a building whose different parts enforce each other. So Muslims form a social structure, a social system. It is a system in which each and every one of us plays a separate role in unifying the ummah and being of service to one another. So what we learn from this hadith is that the way that we can ensure that we are on top of our Ramadan schedules and that we are meeting all of our individual targets and goals is by connecting ourselves right from the beginning of Ramadan with a Muslim community, with some kind of Muslim service or an Islamic service, which should in practice act as a support system that encourages us to remain on top of our Ramadan routines and schedules. So practically speaking, it is the duty of our Islamic centers, of our scholars, our teachers, our masajid, and our Islamic centers to offer educational and training services and programs, especially during the month of Ramadan. And then it is our duty to make use of these programs and courses. Now, for us, being part of MQI, we have a massive advantage because every year, alhamdulillah, our centers, our masajid, our organizers and MQI teams around the world work so hard every year to arrange and organize daily courses, programs, halakas, and Ramadan activities during this month. And not only that, but we have a great number of scholars and teachers who are stationed at almost every idara, every center who in this month are conducting series of lectures and online webinars for us on a daily basis. So, the reason why I emphasize this is because as the month progresses, it is only natural of us to start losing motivation or start losing the willpower to remain on top of our targets and goals for the month. So, the solution for us is to surround ourselves with other students, with other learners, scholars, and teachers. And by doing so, it will become easier for us to reach our targets of completing the Quran, of regularly doing dhikr and adhkar, and of course praying tarawih. Why? Because as the hadith of the Holy Prophet ﷺ stated, Muslims strengthen one another. We are meant to encourage and uplift one another. And in the month of Ramadan, if we sit in each other's company and if we perform acts of worship with one another, we automatically act as each other's greatest source of motivation. And on another note regarding collectivity, we should strive now more than ever to pray in Jamaat at home with our families. So if your family is able to get together for at least one of the daily prayers, always try to pray in congregation. You will not only strengthen your own prayer, but it is also a beautiful way for everybody to rekindle and recuperate, especially if our families are incredibly busy and are often doing different things at different times. So to sum up, the second most important practice that we should initiate in this month of Ramadan is the practice of collectivity. It is about remaining attached with our masajid, with our centers, and it is really the most efficient way and the most easiest way for us to remain motivated and to remain on top of our goals and our targets. Now, the last point that I want to emphasize is the importance of moderation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states in the Quran, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states, we made you a just, a balanced and a moderate community. And moderation is the key to creating discipline and consistency during this blessed month of Ramadan. So on a practical level, what this means is that we must learn to perform acts of worship that are sincere and of good quality, instead of aiming for a set of targets or aiming to complete an impractical number of good deeds. Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha narrates that the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was once asked, أَيُّ الْأَعْمَالِ أَحَبُّ إِلَى اللَّهِ؟ قَالَ أَدْوَمُهَا وَإِنْ قَلَّ وَقَالَ اكْلَفُوا مِنَ الْأَعْمَالِ مَا تُطِيقُونَ. The Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was once asked, what deeds are most loved by Allah? And the Holy Prophet ﷺ replied, the most regular, constant deeds, even though they may be few. And then the Holy Prophet ﷺ added, don't take upon yourselves except the deeds which are within your ability. So what the Messenger ﷺ is emphasizing here is that the deeds that are most loved in the sight of Allah are those that are performed constantly and those that are performed regularly. And the opposite of this, of course, are actions or acts of worship that we can realistically only perform once in a while, or that we can perform only once every year. So what that means is that even in the month of Ramadan, we should strive to adopt habits and acts of worship that may perhaps be less in quantity, but are nonetheless actions that are easier for us to commit to performing on a regular basis even after the month of Ramadan. So for example, instead of committing ourselves to completing the Quran multiple times during the month, it is perhaps better for us to commit to completing the Quran only once in the month of Ramadan, if it means that we are then able to spend the rest of our time delving deeply into the teachings of the Quran and truly taking the time to understand the lessons and the virtues. And this is definitely a much more relaxing process. So coming back to the hadith, the acts that are most loved in the sight of Allah Azza wa Jal are those that are performed consistently, وَإِنْ قَلَّ, even if they are small in quantity. Now, if we logically think about this, we are more likely to perform acts of worship more regularly if they are less burdensome on us. So in other words, we are more likely to commit to performing regular acts of worship or prayer that we can easily do in a short amount of time. That way, we can develop good habits and develop the motivation to commit those good deeds in a more consistent manner, which, as the hadith of the Holy Prophet ﷺ states, is the most beautiful kind of worship in the sight of Allah Azza wa Jal. And so what we are essentially doing is prioritizing quality acts of worship over the quantity of the acts of worship. And what we learn from this hadith is that it is not the number of good deeds that we perform that will bring happiness to Allah Azza wa Jal, nor is it the number of times that we complete the Quran during this month. It is not about the number of nawafil that we can perform, and it is certainly not about how many hours we can spend standing in the middle of the night or how many hours we spend in sujood. Instead, it is about the quality of our prayer. It comes down to the quality of our recitation and how much of that recitation of the Quran actually sinks into our hearts and into our minds, such that we bring the words of Allah Azza wa Jal into practice and into our everyday life. Now, having said all of this, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't strive to do more than what we usually do outside of the month of Ramadan. In fact, it is the sunnah of the Holy Prophet ﷺ to increase one's act of worship, to increase the hours of worship, and to increase our levels of generosity and acts of charity. But what this hadith that we just discussed shows us, and what the sunnah of the Holy Prophet ﷺ teaches us, is how to increase our worship and good deeds, but in a proportionate manner, in a way that both benefits us, but also doesn't in any way tire us or burden us, so much so that it becomes impossible for us to keep regularly performing those good deeds and acts of worship throughout the rest of the year. So to sum up, we should absolutely strive to push ourselves in this blessed month, and we should absolutely try our utmost best to utilize the hours of our day in remembering Allah Azza wa Jal, in occupying ourselves with the recitation of the Quran, in learning the Quran, in sitting in the company of the pious amongst the scholars and the teachers, and to be of help to one another during this month. But we must always remind ourselves that the acts of worship that are most worthy in the sight of Allah Azza wa Jal are the acts of piety that are performed in moderation and that are performed regularly and with consistency. And the last thing that I want to end off with is just a quick reminder that we should always go into the month of Ramadan with a sense of optimism and hope for forgiveness and change. It is often the case that we enter into this blessed month carrying a load of sins, a load of shame and embarrassment from the absence of piety and taqwa in our everyday lives. But my sisters, the purpose of maximizing this month of Ramadan is to make these permanent changes in our lives. And Ramadan gives us an excuse, and it is a prime opportunity to refamiliarize ourselves with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the Quran, with our prayer, with charity, and with practicing taqwa. So just to reiterate what I have just discussed above, we should strive to prepare for the month of Ramadan by adopting 3 main practices. The first thing that we must do is make an effort to create a spiritually uplifting and motivating environment in our homes. And this can be done by preparing our places of worship and by encouraging our younger members of the family to help prepare and help decorate our homes for the arrival of our anticipated guest, the month of Ramadan. The second thing that we must strive to do even before Ramadan is to familiarize ourselves with the Ramadan activities and courses and programs and halakas that are available to us so that we can create a sense of unity and collectivity during this time for our own benefit and for the sake of keeping each other motivated throughout this month. And lastly, that we should strive to do good in this month and perform quality acts of worship, but in moderation and with the intention of carrying out these deeds throughout the rest of the year, so that we are consistent and so that we are regular with our acts of worship and pious deeds. I hope that this brief discussion has been beneficial to you all, and I hope that we can spend this Ramadan in good health, with Iman, and with sincerity. So thank you again to the Minhaj sisters for bringing this Ramadan series to us this year. And I hope that all of you tune in into the next couple of lectures where some of our scholars will be enlightening us with a range of topics this year, inshallah. So thank you again for joining us, and I wish you a very blessed, a very happy and healthy Ramadan. وما علينا إلا البلاغ والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to have you teach us about how best to prepare for Ramadan. Thank you for answering all of our questions and focusing our attention on prioritizing quality over quantity, preparing a space for all our Ramadan-related activities beforehand, as well as the sense of unity that we should have as Muslims. They're very important points and often won't cross people's minds. That's the end of session 1. Thank you for attending. Tune in next Saturday to learn how to best climb the spiritual ladder this month with Suwaiba Majid. Don't forget to follow Minhaj Sisters UK on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter to stay updated. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.